Yo, people, what to do? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy Tony, aka Two Tone, and today we're doing something a little bit different, bro. We doing something just a little bit different. Let me get my camera adjusted. But today we're gonna be doing a Barcelona news roundup. I'm gonna see how y'all like these, and then if y'all rock with them, then we can do these every day. Just spend about 45 minutes to an hour reacting to the Barcelona news. My dog Marvel, what's up, bro? What is up, bro? So I'm doing something a little bit different, man. I'm doing a Barcelona news roundup, but we're actually going to do it live. I think I want to try to do these pretty consistently, especially as soon as I get off work. I want to be able to kind of just react to the news that came out today. Because with Barcelona, it's news that comes out. It feels like every hour on the hour. And sometimes it can be a lot to try to fit it all in one video. So I'm probably just going to have to do it like how I'm doing today. You may see other content creators kind of do this as well. I kind of got that idea from them, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, man, we're just going to be doing a news roundup. So that's just the intro. That's just kind of really was explaining what's going on. We're going to just take the news bit by bit. I bookmarked some of the news. If there's some additional news you guys want to check out as well, if you don't see them live, we could definitely check them out on the stream after his post, or catch me the next time. But like I said, I'm trying to see if this would be something that we can make pretty consistent. But to kick it off, let me go ahead and switch back. Just give me 1 second. Let me just make sure I got all that in order. Okay, so I had somebody ask me this on TikTok, so I'm gonna start on this. This is actually regarding President Laporta's words regarding Messi. I'm sure everybody has seen Messi return to the Nou Camp Nou, however you want to say it, and it was a cool moment to see Messi, without even really letting the media know, without letting the club know that, hey, I want to just pull up to the stadium just to see it. So the King made it back home. I thought that was a cool moment to see. And that did draw a lot of reaction. A lot of people was praying and hoping that just maybe Messi could make a return to Barcelona. And President Laporta is already kind of shutting that down. He's saying here, he was asked, can Messi return on a 6-month loan as a player? And Joan Laporta says, quote, out of respect for Messi, for the professionals at the club, and for our members, I won't make any unrealistic speculations. It wouldn't be appropriate right now. He then goes on to say about Messi visiting the Camp Nou. He says, quote, Messi visiting the Spotify Camp Nou. I didn't know he was coming, but the stadium is his home, and for what I was told, it was a spontaneous decision. He had just finished dinner and felt like coming with some friends. It's only right that Leo receives the most beautiful tribute in the world. Once the stadium is finished, we'll have the capacity of 105,000, and that's what we like. We're working on the tribute. So that's the right thing to say. I mean, I feel like behind the scenes, Laporta and Messi have been kind of beefing. What are your thoughts on Messi, the Barcelona rumors? So, yeah, bro. So, this is the thing. I don't believe, especially, and if you think about the timing of it, Messi just signed his 3-year extension with Inter Miami, right? And I think he did that knowing already he was probably going to go back to Barcelona to go and visit. And so somebody who moves like Messi, who's low-key, don't really want all the media attention and all that, you can tell by him just arriving at the Nou Camp without letting anybody know. That's him just kind of saying, look, let me go ahead and put this under contract now that I'm staying with Inter Miami, because if my contract is running down with them and then I just pop up in Barcelona out of nowhere. We already know how the media is going to take that. I know as fans, and specifically me, I will already start trying to figure out ways to put him in the 11. Obviously, he's going to be the 11. It's really everybody else moving around from him. But I think he knew that. And while it's a dream for a lot of Barcelona fans, I'm just going to put my 2 cents on it now. It's not happening. I don't think Barcelona can get him. Now, it's not because Barcelona wouldn't want him. I think we're in a better financial situation now than what we were, per se, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, around the time that he left. We're definitely in a lot better situation. So I think we could possibly make it work on our end. But I think Messi is just in a different space right now. If he returns to the club, I do believe he will return as more of like in the sporting project, as somebody in the office. Like, I don't see him coming back as a player. I would love to be wrong. I will absolutely love to be wrong. But like I said, I just don't see him coming back in that regards. Would you say? For me, it depends on if it's going to be a 6 months long, then it's fine. But it's a permanent transfer. I don't want it to happen, even though it's highly unlikely. You wouldn't want Messi back if it was a permanent transfer? I mean, look, I respect your opinion. I'm just, that's honestly a first. A lot of people will like, yes, I want him back, and I want him back permanently so he can retire here, so we can get the ceremony that that Messi deserves. Especially at the new camp when it's all finished. But if we're having fun, just the idea of Messi playing at the 10 and then maybe have Rafinha out left, Lewandowski up front, and then Lamine Yamal out right with Pedri and Frankie de Jong behind Messi in the midfield. Oh, my God. I would absolutely love that. I would. But trying to keep it realistic, I just don't think it will happen. I don't think it will happen just because, like I said, I think Messi's in a good space. I don't think he really wants to be moving his family back and forth. They seem pretty established and pretty settled in Miami. The MLS is competitive enough for Messi. I still believe he can play anywhere in the world, let's be real. But I think where he's at right now, after really achieving everything in the sport, I think he's in a good space of just playing these last few years out in Miami and then call it retirement and then probably move back to Barcelona permanently and probably be involved in the club behind the scenes. But as a player, if this came out 2-3 years ago, we could be talking about something else. But the fact that it's 2025 on the way to 2026, Messi's priority right now is this World Cup. You can argue that most players will want to maybe keep playing prior to the World Cup, but in Messi's case, I think it would do him well to, as MLS is nearing their offseason. I think they've got a tournament that they're playing in. I think it's the MLS Cup. I can't remember the name. But after that's up, their season's done. And so with Messi and his age, most players maybe will want to try to keep playing and stay fit. I think Messi could do really well with an extended break. Now, I know MLS kicks back up in the spring, so he will still get a chance to play a couple games before the season kicks off, but you never know. What'd you say, bro? I think he had a bit. I think he's a bit old, and I think our attackers are already stacked. We have like 10-ish attackers. He would just add to what would be beautiful, but I think, yeah, bro, I agree. I agree with you, Marvel. Like, he would just add, but if you think about Hansi Flick's system as well, what do we get on the players now? The lack of pressing. The forwards. Let me say that. So with the forwards, a lot of them, they struggle with pressing consistently, unlike last season. Messi's not doing that, bro. Messi's not pressing. He's not, like, on the ball, he will be decisive, and I still believe he has some of the best decision-making in all of the world, but in Hansi Flick's system, that would be very interesting to see. again, I don't believe that Messi would be playing for Barcelona as a player. I think those days are behind. But we're just speculating, like, if that was something to actually happen, Messi and Hansi Flick's system. Now, if he can convince Hansi to let him play and have everybody press around him, who knows? But I think in that system, I think everybody has to press. So it's fun to discuss. It's unfortunate that we didn't get the closing ceremony that I felt Messi deserved, but who knows? Maybe he will get that as a Argentinian player. Maybe he will get that in the what do they call that in that match between Argentina and Spain, the winner of what was that Copa America and the Euros, was it finalissima, something like that. I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, I think he will get that. Yeah, bro. This is why I wanted to wait to talk about Harry Kane because obviously that's the topic of this live stream, this news roundup. It's the big title, but I did think of you, Marvel, when it came to like Harry Kane. But I got something interesting on that, bro. I do. What is it? The finalissima. Okay. Yeah, I was right. Just didn't pronounce it right. Okay, so going on, and this is kind of what we were just talking about to kind of wrap up the Messi discussions, is saying that Messi is not considering a return as a player right now. That part of that chapter is closed for him. He has a long-term deal in Miami, and he goes season by season. If he returns, it would be inside the office in the sporting area, which I already knew, but just like I said, just wrapping that up, I think Messi's in a good spot. He's not really looking for the limelight, because if he really wanted that, then going back to Barcelona will create all the headlines, bring all the media attention. I can just see social media and the news about the sport, like how they will react to Messi coming back. So I think he specifically waited to come back during the international break and after he has already agreed a long-term deal with Inter Miami. So right now, bro's just chilling. He's just chilling. He got the freedom to go wherever, whenever. Like I said, the MLS season's wrapping up, so he's not pressing on making any moves. I think after that contract is over with Inter Miami, I can see him. It's interesting he signed a 3-year extension on top of, I think he had 1 year left. So that brings us 4 years from now. Could you see Messi in the 2030 World Cup? It's kind of hard to believe. I think it will depend on how far they get with Argentina in the 2026 World Cup. But he said, but you heard that old cement rumors. I really like the idea of him. Nah, bro, I haven't. I've seen some of the rumors. Has it been anything recent? Like I've seen them being linked. I did a video on that maybe like, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I didn't know if it was anything fresh that came out of that, but I would like him. I believe just because he would fit Hansi Flick's system perfectly. Osimhen. Pressing from the front, he's something like Rafinha, but at the striker position when it comes to just relentlessly pressing. So I would like that aspect of him. And then also he's just a good all-around forward as well. I don't think he's the best striker in the world, but I believe I'll give him top 5 in this position. And him being top 5, and he still has room to grow and improve at Barcelona. As long as he be willing to work on his wages, because that's the whole reason why the Premier League didn't really make a move for him, is because they were saying he was demanding very high wages. And if the Premier League is looking at your wages like you doing too much, then we definitely know Barcelona is not going to be able to afford it. I agree, bro. The 2030 World Cup is a stretch. It's just only reason why I said that is just because it's interesting with him having about a year left on his Inter Miami deal at the end of this contract. he's decided because 3 years seems oddly specific. I don't know why. It just does. Maybe I would have assumed he was doing 1 year deals on top of 1 year deals to kind of really just see how he feels at the end of each season. But he gave them three on top of what he had was one. So we're going to at least see him for the next 4 years playing club football. But yeah, I agree. I think the World Cup in 2030 it is a bit out of reach. I think he could still perform in the 2030 World Cup. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he personally would be all that interested in. I mean, when you've already won everything, and then I think Argentina is probably going to have another deep tournament run in this World Cup coming up. Who knows? Let's say if they get he get his second World Cup, he's definitely not going to be coming back in 2030. But that's just my 2 cents on Messi and the Barcelona situation. The funny thing is that I think it is, bro. I think his wages are crazy. Because if Chelsea is like, nah, I'm cool. And I thought he would have been a perfect fit with Chelsea. I honestly thought the whole summer Osimhen would be going to Chelsea. And the fact that it never materialized and it basically just came down to wages, I'm just like, how much is bro asking? Because outside of Galatasaray, only clubs in Saudi gave him an offer? Because nobody in the Prem, nobody in La Liga. I don't think he was going to be playing for another club in Serie A outside of Napoli. So, yeah, it's crazy, but, you know, it has to be something crazy. It has to be something probably like £500,000 a week or something like that. It has to be. It has to be. Moving on. Look, I just did this for the jokes, bro. Fermin Lopez and De La Fuente's photo together here with the Spanish national team. As we all know, it is the international break. And, Lord, please watch over Fermin Lopez. Please watch over Fermin Lopez, because De La Fuente obviously does not respect Barcelona's wishes when it comes to taking care of our own. And if anybody's in form, he's going to run him down to the ground. He's going to ask him to play a lot. So with Fermin Lopez, I obviously don't think he's doing it intentionally. Like I'm not going that far. But I do believe that because he's in good form, Fermin Lopez will play the majority of both games, if not the full 90 minutes in both games. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but you look at his numbers at the 10, and I know they don't really necessarily utilize. Do they run the 4-2-3-1 with Spain? Because if they do, then he can technically just play in the same position. But I don't believe they run an attacking mid with two holding midfielders. I believe they run the lone center defensive mid with two forward midfielders, which he can still utilize and play. I do think he's more effective with two midfielders behind him, and he's basically like a shadow striker. I believe that's where he will shine best. But I do believe De La Fuente is going to do whatever he can to get the most out of Fermin. I just hope that when he comes back from international break, he still has enough energy for Barcelona. I think about that. So, like I said, it's nothing too serious, but I just look at it and I'm like, we've already seen what happened to Pedri. We've already seen what happened to Gavi. We've already seen what happened to Lamine Yamal. And now, with Fermin getting more consistent playing time with the first team in Spain, only thing you can do as a Barcelona fan is just cross your fingers and hope that he comes back like himself, not only just for this international break, but as we move forward. I do believe, though, this is the last international break until, March? I believe so. So, luckily for us, we don't have too many more coming up outside of that, because I think he's been in really good form. He's been one of the best 10s in the world if you look at his numbers. I believe he has 10 GA in 10 games or something like that. So his role with with Spain moving forward will definitely increase. But let me know what y'all think on Fermin Lopez and Spain and his role. Moving on to John Garcia. I wanted to bookmark this because it's like he's humble, bro. He's so humble. He's so humble because he's talking about any of the three goalkeepers can play. And when he's talking about the three, he's obviously talking about himself, Szczesny, and Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. It is normal in any team, but I'm working to be the club's starting goalkeeper. He's saying it like he's not already the starting goalkeeper, but we keep going. If I have the opportunity to play as a starter, I would try to take advantage for it, to stay that way, and to make sure that no one takes away my position, which is the right mindset to have. I will give everything to recover my position as a starter and keep it until the end. John Garcia, I'm letting you know right now, bro. Your position with this team, you're safe, bro. You're safe. We're not going back to Ter Stegen. Did you see how happy Szczesny was to see that John Garcia was making saves in training? He don't want the starting spot. And I believe the club internally has moved on from Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. So, John Garcia, he trying a humble gimmick. But, bro, you're safe. You're good. That starting spot is yours no matter what. I like the mindset that he's not going in there like, oh, yeah, it's my spot. Like, I'm automatically starting, I'm doing me. I don't have to really worry about anybody else behind me. He is saying everything politically correct, which is a sign of maturity. It's what you will want as a teammate, even though we all know quietly, like, bro, what are you talking about? You're the number one. Like, nobody is playing over you. And at this club, nobody's playing over you. Now, Spain, they need to figure out what they're going to be doing with goalkeepers because they got several options. And I'm actually okay with John Garcia only really playing for Barcelona, if I'm just being honest. I know he may want to eventually become the Spanish national team starting goalkeeper, and that should be the goal for every player, is to ultimately be a starter for your national team. But that's something that, again, with Spain, they would have to work out down the road. But John Garcia, bro, like, you're good. You're good. I can't wait to see him back. I do think we will look a bit different when he does come back, because again, we're with the highline system and the opportunities we can see, you will feel a bit better. I know I will feel a bit better about watching us trying to defend with him in goal compared to Szczesny. And that's no disrespect to Szczesny. He knows where he's at in his career. A lot of us do. He will be the first to tell you, look, I'm just here to mentor and be a backup. And I'm here if you need me, but only in emergency situations. Do not get comfortable with calling me up to rotate with John Garcia. He is your number one. Treat him as such. So, interesting. Nonetheless, John Garcia, you're safe, bro. You're safe. Hey, I don't know if y'all saw this response from Xavi. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to talk more about it. So, this is from Xavi. I don't know where he was asked this. I don't know what made him say this. I don't know if this is on a documentary or what. This just kind of came out of nowhere. But Xavi said, I started my coaching career in Barcelona with high demands for the players and the club. As the club was coming out of a period where there weren't many demands, my mistake was that I maintained these high standards just for a year. He said, from the time I arrived, we won La Liga and a Super Cup. Sometime after that, I was able to be self-critical, and I said to myself, damn, what happened to me? I had lowered those high standards, and the players no longer had the same attitude, the same respect, and the same effort. The standards kept getting lower and lower to the point that in my last season, we didn't win anything. I've learned a lot from this. I had to be self-critical. And what'd you say, bro? Joan Garcia for me is the defiant. Right. Yeah, I agree. Joan Garcia is definitely the defiant goalkeeper. I don't like I said. I just it's him being humble, but we know that bro is the number one goalkeeper. My chair's a little hot, damn. But yeah, these words from Xavi. It's interesting because as a fan watching Barcelona when he was the manager, I didn't feel as if the players lacked respect towards Xavi or they didn't show the same effort. I just thought the playing style really wasn't all that attractive. I remember the year they won La Liga. A lot of those games were 1-0 victories. And I remember being on social media and seeing a lot of people, including myself, I can't lie, I hold my hands up. But a lot of people were definitely critical of the fact that it's like it seems a bit pragmatic. We weren't really creating all the opportunities we felt we should have with the players that we had out there. Again, this is me speaking from my perspective, but I didn't necessarily thought that the players lacked respect or they had a bit of an attitude. I know there was some problems here and there with the players amongst each other. I'll never forget after Ronald Araujo got that red card against PSG and Gundogan's reaction to it and all that. But I don't know if that was really did y'all see that as well about lack of respect towards Xavi? I just look at it like this. Bro came in a situation where the club was in a mess. So we needed somebody who's familiar with the club to bring a bit of stability. And I felt he did that. He was never going to be a manager like, I don't know, name him. Somebody who would be at the club 5, 6, 7 years because this was really his first big job. I know he managed in Saudi prior to Barcelona, but this was his first European job. And your first job being Barcelona, that is tough. Even for a legend like Xavi, that's tough. So, I don't know. I don't see it. I just always felt that his time was always going to come and go as a Barcelona manager, honestly. And it's interesting to hear him say that because obviously if he feels this way, then maybe as a fan, we didn't see it, but maybe in the locker room, maybe in training, they weren't as hungry, and he was the first one to see that. He probably also saw that because they weren't as hungry, they lacked the same attitude, they didn't show the same effort. But the respect thing is what kind of caught my eye because I'm just like, damn, were there players not showing respect to Xavi as a manager at Football Club Barcelona? I'm curious to know who was he talking about? Because I don't believe it was the whole team that was just like, I don't respect this guy anymore. We're not pulling in the same results. We're not playing like how we want to play. So I'm not going to respect him. I know Rafinha felt some type of way about Xavi. But that's only because Rafinha will come out in the 60th minute every time he played. So it's interesting to know who specifically was he talking about. But I just believe Xavi is also going to be self-critical really no matter what. Because, we really had a good year. What was that? We won La Liga. Was that 22, 23 that we won La Liga? And I don't know, bro. It got me thinking. My mistake was that I maintained these high standards for just a year. So is he also saying that the reason why the players dip is because he also didn't put in that same? I don't know. That's interesting to see. I wish Xavi the best. I really do. Because I do believe he can be a really good manager. It's just tough to be your first managerial job being Barcelona. Because it was never going to be something that he was going to be still managing today in 2025 going into 2026. It's just not how the club really operates. If I'm just being honest, the pressure and what all it takes to become a manager of this team, it takes a toll. Even if you're having success, we've seen it with Pep. After a while, you're like, okay, We won some trophies here and there, but the outside noise, it just becomes too much, especially when you're Catalan. You already know, how the press is in Barcelona, and this is why I think when Hansi Flick he had so much success his first year because coming in non-Spanish speaking, so that means he definitely don't know anything about Catalan. That all the extra shit that's coming out about him in the press, he's not really too worried about that. So I don't know. Just my two thoughts, man, on this. Didn't want to stay on this topic too long, but it's curious to, just to get y'all thoughts on that. You saying that have you seen the Yildiz rumors? Wait, he's being linked to us? Hold on. I see some of these rumors I've seen like a while ago, but I didn't know if it was anything. Am I not spelling his name right? Oh, is it? Okay. Okay, yes, I think it's I. Okay, so this was back in October. I mean, shit, that was just a couple of days ago. What am I talking about? That was just a couple of days ago. Look, and I just saw this too, bro. I just saw that he wants an annual salary from Juventus around 5 to 6 million euros a year, and I believe that's net. Right now he's only on like 1.5 million. You got somebody like Vlahovic that's making 12 million a year. So he only wants half of that. I would like him at Barcelona. I think he could fit. I like his work rate. I think technically he's very special. He's still relatively young, so he definitely has room for improvement. I don't know if we're being realistic. I hate the situation that Barcelona's in, man, because in a perfect world, we would sign Rashford to keep him on, sign him from his loan deal from United, and we will also sign Yildiz. Like, we would do both, just to have them competing and at the same position. Then maybe every now and then we would rotate Rashford up as a 9, but I feel like the decision will be either or. I don't know if Barcelona would technically want to do both. You said I really want Yildiz because he will play in that 10 and left wing. That is true. He can play in the 10. If we decided to make a move for him, obviously it would be a summer move. Do you see us going for both him and Rashford? Because that would be the question. I don't know if we would. I think if we would either have Lewandowski starting up for next year again, or we sign a replacement. If we do sign a replacement, it depends on how much it will cost, because if it's too much, I don't know what's going to happen to Rashford. I believe we will keep Rashford because you can't, with the form that he's in and what he's shown us already, 30 million euros is very cheap. It really is. Now, I know he makes a lot of money, and he's already taken a pay cut, and even with the pay cut, he's still on pretty high wages. So if he signs with us permanently, he probably will have to take an additional pay cut on top of the pay cut he already took to make it work for a loan deal. But this is what runs my mind about Barcelona, bro. And this is what's crazy. What is our situation financially? We haven't heard anything official about, hey, Barcelona is going to be in the 1-1. And I don't think we're going to know that. And I don't think we're going to know that until we get back in the new camp. The VIP seats are sold. We start bringing in revenue. And then as the year goes, instead of 25,000, maybe we can squeeze in 50,000. And then depending on what all we win and how far we go in the Champions League, all that will then determine what will our summer look like. Because if it ends right now, we don't win any trophies. We don't go far in the Champions League. I don't know if we're going to have a productive window. Unfortunately, if let's say we don't have a crazy run in the Champions League, we don't win La Liga, we make a final to a Copa del Rey, something like that, right? I can see us, and this is what's so annoying, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I can genuinely see us signing Rashford permanently and trying to find a center back that is dirt cheap or sign him on free. And legit, that be our summer. I'm being honest, bro. I'm being honest. I think that if that's something that we did, like the kind of season that we have, and then we go into the summer, I don't see us spending a crazy amount of money based on what I'm seeing today. Now, obviously, that can change because depending on how far they get into development of the stadium and how many people they can get in there, if we do make another far run, because in this version of the Champions League, you make a lot of money the further you go. They always used to make a good amount of money, but with this new format, they make it even more now. So it would definitely play a part into what we do in the summer. So it's kind of too early to tell. But going off just fit, outside of if it's realistic or not, how much it will cost and all this, because I know Juventus will ask for, like you said, it would ask between, you said his value is around 70, but you think Juve will want 80. In this market, absolutely. They're going to want 80, 90 minimum. And deservingly, from their perspective, they have every right to ask for that. I don't think Barcelona's in a position to pay that. But again, like I said, removing that to the side and just focusing on his fit, he can play in a 10. He can play out left. I don't know if those are positions we necessarily need more depth in. Maybe left wing, for sure. Because I say for sure, but then obviously we're missing Rafinha. When Rafinha is back and everybody is healthy, do we see Rafinha as a left wing or as a 10? Because he can play in a 10 and have Pedri and Frankie de Jong behind him, and then now we're dealing with Dani Olmo and Fermin fighting for minutes. Or he can go back to starting him out left, and Rashford is just holding it down until he comes back, and then they rotate Rashford and Rafinha out left, having Fermin and Dani Olmo in the middle. I'm curious to see what will happen if I don't believe it will happen, but I'm just speaking hypothetically. If Rafinha stays 100% healthy, on top of Rashford, Lewandowski, and Lamine Yamal, and then the way that Fermin Lopez is playing, and we still got Dani Olmo behind him, I don't know. If we're going to spend money, see, this is the thing. If they put, and I know we can make it work by putting him at the striker position, but is that his best position? Do we get the most out of Rashford? If Rashford started at the 9 all these games instead of the left so far this year, I don't know if his numbers will look the same like how they are now, because I do believe he likes to start out wide, make those runs behind the line, and he likes to come in and cut in from the left into the right. Not saying he can't play the 9, but is that his best position? I'm hoping if we do sign him permanently, Rashford, he would just be okay with just every other, rotate. We're keeping that left wing fresh. Some games it's going to be Rashford. Some games it's going to be Rafinha. I personally like Rafinha out left, but floating in that 10 position instead of him starting at the 10 and kind of just being stuck at the 10. But if he does that, starting out left and cutting in and roaming into the free space, what does that mean for Rashford? So it's a lot of different directions this can go. And I'm not sure about other teams and and how they feel like already this is what we need done in the summer, because Barcelona knows we need another. I personally would like a center back, maybe two, a right back, obviously a striker. Midfield, we're fine. We're just banged up with injuries, but I believe midfield, we're fine. And we have academy players coming out of that. Right wing, we're good with Lamine and Rooney. Left wing right now is just Rashford. Rafinha coming back, we will have two in that position. If we keep Lewandowski, I would still like to sign a striker. Because maybe that striker can be somebody young and promising. We've been linked to a few. We've been linked to a few strikers here recently, which kind of leads me to this next one. And I don't know anything about this, so y'all gonna have to let me know. They're saying that Barcelona is monitoring a 17-year-old forward, Thomas de Martins. He's 17. They saying he's with the Argentinian under-17 World Cup. They saying that his play style is something similar to Aguero. And what else? Another one that I saw. Somebody already did some scouting on him. It was a Barcelona fan page, and they posted about him over the summer. He plays for Lanús. He's taking part in the under-17 World Cup. Yeah, that's what I saw. I'm trying to see. Okay, look, so we can check out this highlights here. He plays for Lanús and is currently taking part of the under 17. I haven't heard of him either. But I can already see he has really good striking ability. That was a good finish. Look at the conditions that he's playing in, bro. He's playing in the trenches. Oh, that's a good skill. Got a bit fortunate with that goal there, but that was a good skill move prior to. He's banging these free kicks, though. Got decent size to him as well. 17 years old. That's a good finish as well. See, this is my thing about Barcelona. When's the last time we signed? I mean, we got Victor Roque was the last one that I can think of off the top of my head immediately. That it was a young striker, not yet proven. He develops and he turns out to be really, really good. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of one right now. I can't really. I feel like Barcelona, and this is why we're going to get into the Harry Kane links. Barcelona at the striker position, we can't really afford to have somebody that's okay or that is just decent enough, kind of bad, like at the 9. You see how it was with Ferran Torres. I think a lot of teams would be happy with Ferran at their 9. But with Barcelona, the standard is so high that if you don't look all that good in a year or two, we're done with you. We don't really want anything to do with you. So that has me asking, if we sign him, would he even be signed and put straight into the first team? It seems like he'd be somebody we sign and will put into the second team, Barcelona B. I really like him, though. He really is nice. I can't lie. I would like for us to take more risks on finding a striker that's really good, that has good ball striking ability, and give him a chance to grow in Barcelona's system, and then who knows what we'll get. But I don't know if we have the patience for that. This is why, going on to my next topic, this is why we're being linked to, and I'll get back to Pedri in a minute. But this is why we're being linked to Harry Kane. So this is coming from The Guardian. Now, obviously, I've seen a couple other pages post this, but their source concerned me. But if this is coming from The Guardian, they're saying that Barcelona has made Harry Kane their top target for the summer of 2026 and could be the replacement for Robert Lewandowski. And I know this is not the sexy pick. I know a lot of Barcelona fans, we want a striker in his prime or a young, inspiring striker who's nearing his prime, and we're going to help carry him through there. But I just don't know. With Lewandowski's contract situation, we're forced to make a decision within 6 months, really. And if Lewandowski leaves and we don't have the funds to spend 200 million on Julian Alvarez, a blank check to City for Holland. I'm trying to think who else is a prime striker that could possibly be available for Barcelona to sign. That's somewhat realistic. I've seen we've been linked to Vlahovic. That's not the sexiest name out there. I can't think of his name right now. The striker Dortmund, but he's like 30. I just don't know if there's a perfect fit that wouldn't cost all of Barcelona's money. I do not want us to go into the summer and have to worry about spending all that money on just one player. All that has been on my mind is Osimhen. Osimhen, but see, this is the thing with Osimhen, and you're right. That is a good shout with Osimhen. But that's technically still involving a lot of money. Because, if I'm not mistaken, Galatasaray just signed him permanently for 75 million euros, right? And he's on high wages. We will struggle to fit his high wage under our salary cap, or what we have under our salary cap. And if they just sign him for 75 million, they're not going to sell him for 75 and under, especially since he's having a good season and they just signed him. Only way I can see him leaving is if somebody comes in and gives them, well, it has to be two factors. I think they have to give them at least 80, 85. Like, that's the floor. I'm not saying that somebody come in with 80, 85, they will accept it. Half of the reason why he would be able to leave is if they can get more money than what they bought him for. So the floor is 75, probably going to take 80, 85, maybe even up to 90. And he has to be doing his part on his end by pushing the move out. I just don't know if he'd be doing that again, because ain't that technically what he did at Napoli? He was so desperate to leave, but yet he wanted to keep his wages. That's how he ended up in the situation that he's at right now. So I would love for that to happen. I would. I do think he would fit Barcelona perfectly. But I just don't know financially if it's realistic. And I already named, like I said, Holland. That's not happening. Alvarez, I believe Atletico would sell him, but at a price that we know how they move when it comes to them selling players to us, especially their best players. So after that Griezmann stint, I think I'm cool off trying to sign one of their players who has still many years left on his contract. Now, if this was Bartomeu's Barcelona, we would have the funds, and I really wouldn't even be mad at it at the moment, but it's almost like a good thing that we're in this situation around, because it forces us to be rational with the money that we do have. We can't just go out there and spend 200 million on one player. So it kind of brings me back to Harry Kane. It's another stopgap type of fill-in by signing him. We know he's not going to be here 5 years. We know he's not going to be here anything longer than that. So that means if we sign Harry Kane, it will probably be, let's say we sign him in the summer of 2026. I can see that being a 3-year, 4-year experiment. Very similar to what it was with Lewandowski. And the price is going to be around the same price that it costs for Lewandowski to join Barcelona. What was that, around 60 million euros? I think that is how much it would cost Barcelona to sign Harry Kane. Again, it's not ideal, but what'd you say? He said, at this point, we just need a proven striker. I don't care who it is. I just need somebody who promises at least 25 goals. I agree with that, and I think this is why, and I think that's what the board is on mainly. You don't lose Lewandowski and then replace him with either Ferran Torres or a promising striker who's not yet proven but may have all the talent in the world, just a bit raw. We need somebody who's coming in and is getting at least 25 La Liga goals and hopefully 35, 40 goals in all competition. And the only one that is realistic. Now, again, this is the thing about Harry Kane, and why would he want to leave? From what I've seen, he seems to be enjoying himself at Bayern Munich. And I'm sure they can offer him financially whatever we can offer. So, while Barcelona have made Harry Kane one of their top targets, the way I see this not happening is because Harry Kane is just, I'm cool at Barcelona. I mean, at Bayern. I'm not going to force a move to Barcelona. Now, if the two clubs come to an agreement and they end up, like I said, reaching a deal, and then I'm sure if we're able to reach a deal with Bayern, we can give him wages that'll be suitable enough to make him want to join. But I just don't know if I see him pushing for a move to Barcelona. I just don't see it. I think the board sees it as a perfect fit, perfect replacement for Lewandowski. Not the most money in the world. Like I said, around probably 60 million euros is what my guess would be. Wages probably won't be anything higher than what Lewandowski is currently on. So the club sees that as an ideal fit. And then when he gets to that stage where Lewandowski is now, then I think that can be the window where Barcelona goes in big for whoever is available at that time. I just think we understand Lewandowski's contract situation. We understand his age, and we want the next best thing at that position. I just still think it's too early for Barcelona in their financial situation to go out there and spend what is required to replace him with one of the world's best. I think Harry Kane is that. He's a very different striker, for one. While he is a goal poacher, the way he plays, he's very involved in the build-up. He drops in the midfield. His playmaking ability will offer something different that I think we could benefit from. I do think that a lot of times we kind of rely heavily on our midfielders to create, or our wingers. But if we got a forward that can drop in and create for our wingers, and then he can come in late to score, I think he would be a success at Barcelona. But I don't know. I genuinely believe he's comfortable at Bayern. I think whatever situation is going on to even allow these rumors to come out, I think they're going to nip it in the bud, and he's going to end up saying. So I see why the board will want him. If he is somebody who was signed by Barcelona, I do think he would be a success. I personally will like it because I understand that I don't see us this summer going big for the perfect striker who's going to be there for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, I don't think we're in a position to do that this summer. Because if we were, then I think we would have done something by replacing Inigo before the window ended. You don't make all that money in just one season to where, all right, we can sign $200 million strikers now. You would have started to show a little bit of that flex of spending in the previous summer. Because, again, I don't believe you make all of that in 1 year to allow you to spend all that in that following summer. So, us not signing a replacement, I know it was last minute with Inigo leaving, but once he left, it was still enough time to where you can maybe try to get something done. There was no movement whatsoever towards a center back, because I believe the club knew internally we don't have the funds to. We can even ask to get like a transfer fee out of that. It was just a relief just to have it was going to be inflated, his wages, because I think in the third year of that deal, he was going to have a dramatic increase in his wages, and Barcelona was fine letting him leave for free. So, like I said, I just don't know if we just have the funds to find that. So, Harry Kane is an ideal fit from the board's perspective, and play style, I think he could work. The reason why I'm saying I don't see it happening is because why would he want to leave Bayern? And why would Bayern let him go? Because if they get rid of him, that's going to put them in a situation where they have to now spend big on his replacement, and they're not going to sit there and settle with Jackson at striker. They're just not, bro. They're not doing that. I don't see them being okay with Jackson being their only striker. You can argue that, hey, they could turn around and maybe try to go for Osimhen, but high wages, high transfer fee. I don't know. I'm looking at it. Next summer, is there really going to be a lot of moves made for like some of the best nines? Lewandowski is going to be a free agent, so he may end up getting moved. He may mess around and retire. I've already been seeing some, rumors about that if he don't get the extension from Barcelona, then he may just call it quits. And we already mentioned the other top elite strikers, and you may see some guys that's like B tier, C tier, but like the elite of the elite strikers, the ones that everybody could want, I don't know if they're necessarily going to be moving this upcoming summer. And if they are, does Barcelona have the funds to even make that happen? I don't know. I don't know. You say you like Samu. Samu is good. Now look, I would like a Samu signing if Lewandowski stays for one more year. Because I personally will want to keep Lewandowski for one more year, bro. I would rather have Lewandowski one more year than to have Ferran Torres starting game in and game out. I don't know if I'm alone in that opinion, but I tried to give Ferran Torres the benefit of the doubt. If y'all remember, I made a video on Ferran Torres in the beginning of the season because he started off really well. Lewandowski was injured at the beginning of the season, and we were really only playing La Liga opponents. And I was like, Ferran is scoring goals. He's getting at least a goal a game. That's a good turnout. But as soon as you start to play at a higher level and you playing against physical center backs that actually know what they're doing, and the fact that Ferran is not a target in air, that just goes to show that we have to do something. If anything, I would prefer us to keep Lewandowski. I would. Just for one more year. But I don't think, anybody's going to be making any immediate moves on that. So, yeah, that's it with Harry Kane. Let me know what y'all think on the Harry Kane situation. Like I said, if this is something that happens, I wouldn't be mad at it. I do think he would work. It's just that I don't see him wanting to leave Bayern. I don't see Bayern letting him leave. So, therefore, we either going to get another year of Lewandowski, hopefully, at least for one more year, or we're going to start seeing Ferran up front, and I don't want that because I just genuinely don't believe that we have the funds to get the ideal striker next summer. That's my belief. But look, I'm gonna say this. This is ending on some good news. Pedri's recovery is going exceptionally well, and he could return in 2 weeks earlier than expected. He might get some minutes against Bilbao, though the club remains cautious after Rafinha's setback. The midfielder is training without issues and feels he can be available for both the Atletico and the Chelsea match. And that, to me, is good news. Huge news, because I wasn't feeling the most confidence going into the Chelsea match at Chelsea without Pedri. Even if he's not match fit to play the full 90, if we can just get 20, 30 minutes of him, that's better than nothing. Because I believe in that environment on the road, with the way that we like to play, we're going to need a player like Pedri to kind of help calm things down in possession, and he creates opportunities as a midfielder going forward. So this is really good news. I'm hoping this is coming from him instead of the club maybe trying to put this out. But I do like the fact that they're saying that the club remains cautious, because Rafinha's setback definitely was unfortunate. It definitely was. And we do not want to have any relapse with Pedri. But they're saying he's training like normal and he's feeling good, and he's putting out there that he'd be ready to play against Atletico and Chelsea. So I'm guessing we're going to have to see how it turns out against Atletico, because that's the match we have prior to the Chelsea game. If he gets a couple minutes from Atletico, then I believe he will be able to play the Chelsea match. So it really just depends on that first one. But it is nice to see that it's not as serious as what we initially expected. Even if he ends up missing these games, we got to have Pedri here for the long run. So I do like that. There's good news regarding Pedri. And wrapping up with Eric Garcia, they saying that he's getting closer to renewing his contract in Barcelona until 2029 plus one plus optional year. I also think this is good news because he's becoming vital for us, one, at the center back position, especially this season. I thought we would have seen a lot more Ronald Araujo and Kubarsi starting as the partnership at center back, but we've been getting a lot of Eric Garcia and Kubarsi, Eric Garcia and Ronald Araujo. But I also think this is a good deal for Barcelona because we don't have a backup right back. We're going to have to prioritize what we're going to look for in the summer. And so the fact that Eric Garcia can play the right back position, and I'm not going to lie, so far this year, he's actually done a better job than Koundé at the right back position. So when you got somebody who can step in and you don't see a drop off in one position at right back, he does the same thing at center back. He steps in, you don't see a drop off at center back. And when push comes to shove, if we need him to play in that holding midfielder position, I'm not saying you don't see drop off on that because you kind of do, and it makes sense. He is a center back. But he can do the job if asked to do. And those kind of players, they're pivotal for Barcelona. You gotta be able to keep them long term. So I do like the fact that we are getting closer to signing that extension with Eric Garcia that'll have him here until at least 2029, but at least maybe until 2030, because I'm assuming if everything's staying like how it stays, he will want to sign that. Well, opt in into that plus one optional year and then stay beyond 2029. So good news to see with that. I would still like to see us maybe try to go for a right back, but again, with not knowing how much money Barcelona has to spend, we probably won't be even discussing a right back in this transfer window in the summer. So players like Eric Garcia, for that reason alone, becomes even more important. So it's important to lock down players like a Eric Garcia. But that is really it for me on today's stream. Like I said, I'm going to try to do these more, and it's going to be better formatted, and, you know, we're going to get smoother as this goes. But I like doing the news roundup via live stream instead of just posting my reactions like how I normally do on TikTok and then take the videos or the shorts and post them on YouTube. And then, you know, if I need to do a solo video, I'll do that. But I kind of like this. Like I said, this would be something that it would get smoother as we go. But yeah, hey, I appreciate you all for stopping in, man. I'm about to wrap it up myself. But yeah, if y'all like this, man, for the people who missed out on the live stream, obviously it's going to be on YouTube. You can go back and watch. Okay, so you saying you like this? That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. Like I said, I will get better at it. If there's something that y'all want me to talk about, just let me know. You see my Twitter handle here. If you want me to talk about something, you can definitely leave a comment on the live stream. But I definitely want to get into this more. I will be doing these because I'm on Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. So when I get off, it's around 4:45, 5 o'clock. So I can do like a news roundup talking about, you know, the topics of the day and then be in for 45 minutes to an hour and then kind of just go on about it. So we will be seeing more of these, especially coming up. If anything, you're going to be seeing me tomorrow. I appreciate y'all stopping by watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And if you like the stream, go ahead and give me a thumbs up on that. And for the people who did not catch this live, please let me know what you thought on the topics we went over today in the comments down below. And yeah, man, it was a good stream today. Good stream today. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, but this is something that I definitely want to do. This right here is hilarious. But this is definitely something I would like to do moving forward. So yeah, just let me know what y'all think, man. I'm gonna catch up with y'all on the next live stream. doing a Barcelona news roundup tomorrow. And yeah, man, take care.